Guys, in this video, I'm giving you my advice on beating premature ejaculation. Now, like a lot of you guys, I have a ton of experience with premature ejaculation. I'm also glad to say I have a ton of experience beating it. So I wanted to share some insight on what does that actually look like? Because I know for me, the feeling was so overwhelming that I couldn't even comprehend how it could even be possible to last longer than even 2 seconds. But it definitely is possible. But there's a catch, which brings me to my first piece of advice. It's not an overnight thing. So yes, you can do it even though it feels impossible, but it will take some effort. Now, what does that look like in terms of numbers? Well, in my case, I had it really bad. I couldn't last even 2 seconds. Like just me even putting it in would make me pop. So I probably had it as bad as anybody could possibly have premature ejaculation. But once I learned how to control it, I started developing it into a kind of almost like a workout routine. And in the first week, I managed to hit about the 5-minute mark with my toy. By the end of the third week or so, I managed to get up to 20 minutes with my toy. One of my students, it took him about 3 weeks, he said, to the point where he first started getting that feeling of control that he never felt for the first time in his life. And then after that, it took him 2 months to work up to 30 minutes in bed with his woman, which is absolutely astounding. He said he was only reaching that about 50% of the time, which is still incredible. And that's totally normal. And that's definitely a reasonable thing to expect from that amount of progress. Okay, and that's a realistic time frame, guys. If you're going from, like me, 2 pumps to 20 to 30 minutes, if you give yourself 6 to 8 weeks, I think that's very realistic in terms of what you can actually achieve. But it's not overnight, all right? It's not overnight. Now, let's go straight into my second piece of advice. And this one, first one was quick. This one, we're gonna dive a little bit deeper, so get ready, all right? So main thing that you need to know about lasting longer is it starts with your state, your mental state. Now, before you click away and you're thinking like, oh my God, this guy's talking about freaking mental state and I'm just trying to last longer, like what does a mental state have to do with my cock, right? Just hear me out. Now, it's true that your mental state doesn't alone make you last longer. That's half of the battle, okay? The other half is actual practice, right? It's like getting into your bed, grabbing your toy, setting up your pillows and doing the dirty talk and this and that. Practicing to last longer, that's the second half of the equation. But unless you get your mental state under control, it will definitely be impossible to ever get better. And I'll tell you exactly why that is. You know, at the train yard where they have that switch, and depending on which way you pull the lever, it controls which way the train goes on the track. It goes like this. That's your mental state, and that lever controls how much sensitivity gets through to your body. That lever, it's up here, like in the base of your skull. It's connected to your nervous system. And depending on which way you pull that lever, it either allows arousal signals to get through to your body, or it shuts them off, right? So pull one, arousal goes through, pull the other way, arousal is stopped. And it sounds crazy, but in literally less than a second, you go from, oh shit, I better stop moving or else I'm gonna blow, to like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm good for a few more. Like I can stroke a few more times. All right, and I really want you to think about that, okay? I know it's kind of probably sounds like I'm talking shit, but think about this. I'm sure plenty of you guys watching this video have had the experience where, let's say you were making out with your woman for like 10 or 20 minutes before the clothes even came off, and you definitely had that feeling where you knew that it was already over. Right? You can feel that feeling of being close to orgasm, and you never even took your pants off. You never even touched it with your hand. So guys, really think about that. If you get that, you'll understand how this works and then how you can reverse it to stop premature ejaculation, okay? It's not your woman's body or anything external. It's the sensitivity that originates in your mind at the base of your skull. And that switch, that lever that you pull, then the train yard in your brain, that's your state. All that starts in your mind. Okay, so I know I beat that horse to death. So what do you actually do about this? How do you train your mind to switch that lever so that you can do it in reverse once the switch is on, right? Because once it's on, that's where all the problem is. So how do you switch back to the non-aroused state once you're actually aroused? Well, I have a little exercise for you. First thing you're gonna do is go ahead and get yourself worked up and put it in your toy. Now, If that's too much for you, like it was for me when I first started, then do what I did. And also what I recommend in my course is start with your hand, okay? Because with your hand, you can actually let go as opposed to being stuck inside the toy where all that pressure and the physical sensation is. So just using your hand, if you're starting out, will give you a lot more control. Okay, and so here we are. We're at the root of the problem, right? You're worked up, you're very sensitive, either inside your toy or with your hand. And now we need to figure out how to solve this. Because if you keep going, you're gonna bust, right? So what do? You've got to switch that state like the train tracks, right? And stop your mind from sending signals to your body. So try this. This is going to sound goofy, but I personally do this a lot in my own practice, and it is extremely effective. As of this moment, you have a fake neighbor named Steve. While you're stopped in your toy, you're going to have a fake conversation with your fake neighbor Steve about whatever the you want to talk about. Now, make it something that you would actually talk to someone about. We're trying to make this realistic. So if you talk to different people about sports, if you're into sports, do that and imagine him talking back to you. Or maybe you have a real neighbor and you're talking to him about like why your lawn isn't coming in this year. You guys chit-chatting about yard care or whatever, talk about that. Or if you live in an apartment, maybe you see your neighbor in the hall in real life and you guys are bitching about management. You know, whatever it is, the details aren't important. What is important, and the key to making this work, is you need to really suspend disbelief for just a few moments and pretend you literally are talking to your neighbor. And yes, it will be weird. You're naked, right? And then you're switching your mind to pretend that you're talking to your fake neighbor. So in your mind, you're probably going to be having this weird feeling like, oh, I'm completely naked. I literally have my thing inside my toy and I'm supposed to pretend that I'm talking to a fake neighbor. Okay, that's kind of the point, right? You need to switch those tracks. So it's supposed to feel off. I want you to feel that and really see him in your mind, really see him standing there with your eyes open. Not only that, you're talking out loud too. This is really important. You're not just pretending a conversation in your mind. You're literally, hey, what's up, Steve? So yeah, I see that you got some brown patches in your yard, right? Now, and you're still in your toy, right? Yeah, I don't know. We haven't been getting a lot of rain this year, but I heard that the storm's supposed to be coming next week. Oh yeah, the storm. Yeah, it's gonna, you know what I mean? Like, make it real. And the point is to forget about what's going on down there. Now, you'll notice your state changes when you do that. If you're doing this correctly, you see him there, visualize him, you're talking out loud, full-on conversation for like a minute or two, okay? That's how you flip the switch on the train tracks, okay? That's one way to do it. I have others in my course, but that's one very powerful way to do it. All right, now I've got this before where I give an exercise like this, and there's gonna be inevitably some idiot in the comments saying like, well, I don't want to think about Steve when I got my thing out and I'm inside my toy and I'm supposed to have sex and think about Steve when I'm with a real woman. I don't want to be thinking about Steve, my neighbor, my fake neighbor, when I'm actually having sex. I'm supposed to think about that and it's like, no, guy, listen to me. Relax, okay? Take a deep breath. This is just an exercise to get your body used to the feeling of having your state switched off and on to block those signals. You are not going to be thinking about Steve or anything really at all except your woman during sex once you get a bunch of reps in and it becomes automatic, okay? This exercise is just to build the reference point, right? For example, think about when you're doing MMA, okay? When I go in for open mat, I'm doing bag rounds. I'm not thinking they're hitting the bag going like, oh man, what's the point of this? Why am I hitting a bag? It's not a real person. I'm just building reps so that when I actually spar with a partner like you're going to do in bed, my body has that muscle memory, okay? I'm not thinking about the bag when I'm sparring real life, right? It's just for memory recall. It's the same thing here, okay? So if it helps, just think of these, your conversation with your fake neighbor as bag rounds to prep you for real life sparring in bed with your woman. Now, this brings me to my last piece of advice. How often should you do this? How long do you have to do it for before you can expect to see results? Well, you should be starting off, depending on how long you can last now, just add a little time to that, okay? When I started, again, I couldn't go 2 strokes, and so I had to use my hand, not the toy. So what I would do is I would stroke it. I started out with 10 reps, and just seeing if I could get 10 strokes and not lose control. So if you're at that point, maybe you shoot for 10 strokes, or maybe you can go a little longer already. So maybe if you can do like 3 minutes now, bump it up to 5 minutes, set the timer for 5 minutes and shoot for 5, and do this 5 to 6 days a week. All right, guys, this was just a quick and dirty video to help get you to understand the controlling your state so that you can block your arousal and the practice in bed with your hand or your toy. If you want the whole course that I have developed for you, you can grab the course below. It's laid out from start to finish. But remember, don't get it unless you're ready to commit for like 4 to 6 weeks, okay? You should be up to about 20 minutes or so by then, which is more than you need for most women to orgasm. Most women take 13 and a half minutes to orgasm. So that's why my course is set up to get you to 20 minutes. So 4 to 6 weeks, 20 minutes, but it will take some time and effort. Now, if you're not ready for the course yet and you want to know a little bit more about the state process, you can check out the most popular video on my channel. It's called Mirroring, and it goes over the most common cause of your state to break, which causes you to finish too fast, called mirroring. Or if you want to know more about that specific, that tingly feeling of sensitivity that really that gives you the urge to want to orgasm, and how to stop that with different state exercises I have for you, you can check out my video called The Hump. That's also in the description below. And guys, I'll be coming up on a year here in this channel pretty soon. So I'm still testing out different styles of different video types. If you guys like the style of the hump or mirroring or the premature ejaculation loop or the social anxiety, the longer ones where I use a lot of examples and historical and I try to tie the whole thing together, let me know in the comments if you like those better, or do you prefer the ones like this where I just kind of sit and just talk at you with some like very basic knowledge. So let me know in the comments what you prefer below, and whatever ones you like, I will try to make more of those. Till next time.